In case you don't know what willyoupressthebutton.com is, it's a website in which there are many would you rather ask questions to answer, except instead of would you rather, it's more like would you. For each question, there are two parts. The first part is generally a positive thing, while the second part is generally a negative thing. It's up to you to decide if the pros outweigh the cons or if it's the other way around. If you agree to both terms, you press the button. And if you disagree, and don't think the deal's worth it, you could not press the button. I will do a few things in this video. First of all, I'm going to rate each question on a scale from 1 to 5. 1 being it's a no-brainer and requires no thought, and 5 being it's a good question and requires a lot of thought to come up with your answer. I will be going through my reasoning for each original question, and I will also be providing feedback on how each question could be more balanced, meaning how it could move up that 1 through 5 scale I mentioned not too long ago. I will either do a democracy balance, which is where I would look at the statistics after a question and try to make a change to the prompt that would cause the stats to move closer to 50-50. Or I would do a personal balance, which is where I would ignore the statistics and make a change that I think would make the question more thought-provoking or difficult. There's a few things to note about this website. First of all, it was made in 2013, which means there are plenty of Justin Bieber and Obama references. Secondly, the average question and answers to each question may seem a bit odd, and that's because the general population of this website mainly consists of children who are maximum 13 years old. So there are many questions like this one that only make sense if you don't think about it. Needless to say, I had to dig through many bad questions to find some quality ones. Question 1. You lead an army of jungle animals that can never be defeated, but your empire is located in the Amazon jungle and will never expand further than the jungle. And I will not press the button, and here's why. First of all, I don't really have a desire to lead an army of jungle animals in the first place. And secondly, if my empire is located in the Amazon, does that mean I have to stay in the Amazon? That would mean I have to sacrifice my entire life to have the ability to, command a tiger to do what I want. Which sounds cool until you realize that you are inevitably going to get bored of that. And when nighttime comes and you have no food or shelter or water, and all you have is your army of exotic birds and fire ants, you are going to regret your choice pretty quickly. The only upside I could see is that if you are a completely selfless person and don't mind sacrificing everything, you could command your army of jungle animals and protect the Amazon from deforestation and help the environment. But that is not something I am willing to do, so that's an easy button skip. Overall, that one gets a 3 out of 5. Unsurprisingly, little Timmy and 61% of his friends decided to press the button, not realizing the consequences. So as a democracy balance, I will just amend the second part of this prompt just to clarify that you have to live in the jungle, which maybe that little section will cause a 7-year-old out there to scratch his head and change his answer. Hopefully. Question 2. You become the most skilled swordsman/woman possible, but you must challenge everyone you meet to a duel. Once again, this is an easy button skip for me, because at best, every stranger you meet is running away from you because they know you're going to kill them, or at least you're threatening to. You really want to. You're challenging them to a duel. And at worst, you end up in prison because you become a serial killer. That one is a 2 out of 5. 53% of people thought the first part sounded so cool, they would just press the button without thinking about or maybe even reading the second part, which is pretty concerning. I am going to do a personal balance and change the second part to every stranger you meet knows you are the most skilled swordsman/woman and thinks you are going to challenge them to a duel, causing people to fear and avoid you. This still seems like a pretty bad deal to me, but at least this way you won't end up in prison. Also, I accidentally typed the most killed swordsman instead of skilled, so when you see that little limp S, there's my explanation. Question 1. You are completely invulnerable to any form of injury, but 50 years from now, all the damage you would have incurred returns on you all at once. This one's an interesting question. It's sort of like an injury debt you have to pay back in 50 years. I'm going to press the button on this one, because think of all the amazing things you could do if you were completely invulnerable to any form of injury. Without any fear of getting killed, you could become the best stuntsman in the world. And if you don't want that, then fine. People would still pay good money to watch you fall down a cliff and walk away with no injuries. There is some good profit to be made here. The only problem is that you sort of have to die within a 50-year period. Because once that 50 years comes, either all the injuries that have stacked up, they're going to kill you, or they're going to be so painful you're going to wish you were dead. I'll give this question a 4 out of 5. 56% of people did not press the button, so what I would do as a democracy balance is change 50 to 60. It's not a very exciting change, but it should do the job. Question 4. The internet is wiped of trolls, but your internet connection starts to suck. This one's a little bit vague because bad internet is very subjective. Some people think 100 kilobytes per second is bad. Some people think 1 megabyte per second is bad. Some people think 10 megabytes per second is bad. And some people think 100 megabytes per second is bad. Regardless, this is a button I would press because without trolls, the internet would be a much more civil place to discuss anything, really. Think of all the quality discussion we could have if trolls weren't around, and all the misinformation that would just be gone. This question gets a 3 out of 5. 73% of people who answered this question are internet trolls and would prefer not to get wiped out. I'm going to do a democracy balance here and make the second part. Your internet speed can never exceed 75% of its maximum speed, which seems like an absolute steal to me, but little Timmy values every little byte per second he could get. So maybe that change would cause 1/3 of dissenters to change their answer. Question 5. You get to sleep with your eyes open in class, but spit falls down your mouth every time you do this. This question gets a 2 out of 5, and I would not press the button. Imagine you're sitting in class and you look over at your classmate, who is not blinking at all, and he has spit coming out of his mouth. You would assume one of two things. 1, he has rabies, or some form of it, or 2, he is very high on something. It would just be an embarrassing situation all around. 64% of people value sleep more than their education. Looking back, I don't think my solution is a very good one, but I did a democracy balance. And I replaced the second part with, your eyes don't move while you're sleeping, so everybody else sees you having a 1,000-yard stare. If drooling isn't a deterrent, I don't know why staring at nothing would be a deterrent. If somebody else could come up with a solution that would make this more balanced, please let me know. Question 6. You never have to eat again or sleep again, but you will not be able to enjoy a good meal or nap again. I would absolutely press this button, because by pressing this button, you essentially extend your lifespan by 50%, because without the need of sleeping 8 hours a day, you have a lot more time on your hands. Yes, never being able to enjoy a good meal or nap again would suck a lot. Those are some of the most simple pleasures in life, but all that extra time is very much worth it. Overall, this question gets a 2 out of 10. Only 43% of people decided to press the button, so what I would do as a democracy balance is change the second part to, you can still eat, but you become moderately ill for a few hours after each meal. You can still sleep, but don't remember any of your dreams. Eating and sleeping provide no health benefits. In retrospect, I understand that specifying the dangers is going to scare a lot of kids away, so I think I screwed up. But to a rational thinker, this should be a really easy button press. Question 7. You get your own death note, but you will die if you don't write a name down for 13 days. This is a pretty thought-provoking question. On the upside, you could kill as many bad people as you wanted to. You could single-handedly save Earth. But then you get into the argument of what is evil. Some people believe that I am evil just for existing. Some people believe that Joe Biden is evil. Some people believe that Donald Trump is evil. Some people think drug abusers deserve to die. Some people think drug abusers deserve to have a good life. Like, who am I to make those decisions? I don't deserve that much power. I can't pretend like I'm some sort of ultimate moral authority. And even past that, you got decisions like, who do you kill? How often do you kill them? You need to write a name down every 13 days. So do you kill the terrorist leader now, or do you wait a week or two just to space it out a bit more and give yourself some more time to find some more people to kill? And if you do decide to wait that week or two, what's to say that during that time the leader wouldn't commit some atrocity that's responsible for the deaths of dozens of people or more? That means that indirectly, those deaths are on your hands. Your inaction caused many innocent people to die. So I would not press this button, even though I understand why a lot of people would. With great power comes great responsibility, and I am not ready for the responsibility, or the power for that matter. This is an amazing, yet simple, thought-provoking question. This This one gets a 5 out of 5. 55% of people decided to press the button, and I would not make any changes to the prompt. Question 8. You watch your favorite band live, but they only perform country music. If your favorite band is a country band, then congratulations. Otherwise, this should be a pretty easy skip. This question gets a 1 out of 5. A lot of people agreed with me, so I'm going to make some changes to the entire prompt. This is both a democracy balance and a personal balance. The first part will now be, you can watch your favorite band live at any time, which isn't too much different from the original prompt. And the second part will now be, each time you go, you must purchase a ticket which costs 10% of your net worth. Doesn't work if your net worth is 0 or in the negatives. It's not perfect, but at least it's better than the original one. Question 9. Be able to clone yourself at will, but your clones will be better than you are at everything. It sounds good at first, but then you realize if your clones are better than you are at everything, you will become completely obsolete. Your clones are just objectively better versions of you. Let's say you clone yourself once. That clone is just better than you are at everything, so they're gonna take over your life. They're gonna take your phone, your friends, your family. So I would not press the button. This question gets a 3 out of 5. This one was actually split pretty evenly, so I'm going to do a personal balance and make the second part, you and your clones share injuries. I still think having clones is a bad thing, but at least these aren't objectively better than you are. But if you do get into a situation where you could clone yourself and profit off of it, like maybe you own a farm that's a family farm, except the family is just you and you and you and you again. Basically, it's not free labor, but at least you know your workers better than anybody else. So if you're smart, you could make this a business or something. But keep in mind that whoever gets injured, it affects everybody. Finally, question 10. You can fly, but you lose the ability to do so whenever someone is looking at you. And that includes cameras. This is one of those questions where if you're smart about it, it has no downside. I spent a while trying to think of situations where I could fly freely and not have to worry about someone looking at me. Because if somebody looks at you while you're flying, you are probably going to die. Because let's say you're 50 meters in the air. Somebody looks up and you fall to your death. Flying outside would almost never be worth the risk except in very rare situations. For example, if you fall into a cave and need to get out, I guess you could just fly your way out. But that pretty much happens to nobody. If you live in a mansion by yourself, you could fly to the second floor without having to take the stairs. But again, who lives in a mansion? Or I guess there are other homes that have more than one story besides mansions, but you get my point. You would almost never use this, but you could in very, very rare situations. So I did press the button, and most people agreed with me by a pretty slim margin. I would give this question a 5 out of 5, and I would not make any changes to the prompt. That's all I have for now. Thank you for watching. I would highly appreciate feedback on this, and have a nice day. You become the greatest musician in the world, but it gets used in a movie about your most hated person, making them a multimillionaire. So you're telling me I could become the greatest musician ever, and become a multimillionaire? 1 out of 5.